guys. This is our second video for Chapter 1. We're going to be learning some science skills today that you're going to need to utilize this semester in physical science, as well as some other science classes that you will use throughout your high school career. And even though you don't think it would ever happen, you actually would use these in real life as well. And we'll talk about that in a couple of days. Let's go ahead and talk about units of measurement and how this works in science. Scientists use standard units of measurements that together form the International System of Units, and we shorten that to be and represented as SI. So SI units are used so that we're consistent throughout the world and throughout the scientific community. And the reason this is important is so that we can share and compare data that we collect here in the United States with someone in Russia or Germany or Sweden or other countries that are doing the same experiments that we're doing. This helps us be consistent and also be able to make comparisons. This is the SI base unit chart. And I really like to mark out that word base and put preferred because these are really the SI preferred units. If you're measuring length, they prefer you to measure it in meters. That doesn't mean it's always measured in meters. Sometimes we're measuring in kilometers, or we're measuring in miles or feet. So that's not always the unit that length is measured in, but these are the preferred units. You need to make sure you know what the preferred units are, what their abbreviations are, and make sure you're familiar with those. Also make sure you're familiar with which abbreviations have lowercase and capital letters. As you can see, this K right here for Kelvin is the only one that has an uppercase letter, and that will be important. So make sure you're familiar with those abbreviations. Now, the way we're going to learn how to convert measurement, where if I measure something in meters but somebody else needs it in kilometers, then this is going to teach us how to make that conversion. If I've measured something in grams but I really need it in milligrams, we'll be able to make that conversion. And we're going to use the ladder method. Now, you need to go ahead and write meters, liters, and grams right underneath the basic unit. And if you want to, write out their abbreviations also. Meters is a lowercase m, liters is a capital L, and grams is a lowercase g. Now, let's go ahead and fill out our ladder. We have kilo, hecto, deca, then the basic unit, then deci, centi, and milli. In just a few moments when we practice, I'm going to show you the abbreviations for each one of these, and you'll go back and write the abbreviations under each one of those prefixes. Kilo, hecto, deca, deci, centi, and milli are all prefixes that are going to go before a unit. If I have kilometers, and a lot of times we'll say kilometers. If we have kilograms, hectograms, decameters or decagrams, decimeters, decigrams, centimeters, centigrams, millimeters, milligrams. Okay, so those are all the things that go right before the unit. They're the prefixes that go before the unit. Now, you'll make sure you need to have these numbers written down as well. Okay, the 1,000 units means that kilo is 1,000 units of a basic unit. 100 units, 10 units. Now, let's go down here to deci. Deci is 1/10 of a basic unit. You can write the decimal as shown, or you can write it in a fraction form, the 1 over the 10. Centi, 1 over the 100. Milli, 1 over the 1,000. Now, most numbers in science require you to place a unit with it. You can't just say 5, because if I say from my chair to the door is 5, you don't know if it takes me 5 seconds to get to the door, if that's 5 feet, if it's 5 meters, if it's 5 miles. You have no idea what that 5 means unless we have a unit behind it. So make sure that you always have a unit placed behind your number. Now, if the number has one letter in its unit, then it is at the basic unit. Okay, so if you have just meters or grams or liters, that's going to be here because those were all one-letter units. If your unit has 2 or more letters in it, that means you're somewhere else on the ladder. Okay, that means you are not at the basic unit if you have more than one letter in your unit. How do we use the ladder method? We're going to go ahead and we're going to take our notes and then we're going to practice together. All right? So the very first step you do is you determine your starting point. So if you have 4 kilometers and they want you to go to meters, we determine our starting point. Our starting point is the very first set of units. And since it has more than 2 letters, we know it's not the base unit. Okay, we know it's not the basic unit. So since it has km, you look for the prefix that has K with it. And the prefix has K is kilo, so this is where we're going to start. Now, we need to find our ending point. Our ending point is the thing we're looking for, the number we're looking for, and that's an M. That means we only have 1 letter, so that means we're here at the basic unit. Okay, so we're going to start at kilo and end at the basic unit. Now, the second step is counting the jumps to your ending point. So we start at the beginning and go to our ending point. So we say 1, 2, and 3. That means we did 3 jumps to the right. So how many jumps did it take? It took 3 jumps to the right. Now, the very first thing you do is you take your number that you're given and you have to place the decimal. And think about it like money. If I have 4 kilometers, think about it like having $4. Where does that decimal go if I have $4? It goes right behind the 4. Okay, right here. If we put it before the 4, we only have 40 cents. So it's very important that you get decimals in the right place. Okay, so 4 decimal is what we start with. And we went 3 jumps to the right. So now we have our new decimal over here, and our old decimal we can cross out. Now, when you have empty spaces here, you put zeros in those empty spaces. They help you fill in the answer. So your answer is 4,000 meters. I'm going to teach you a way to memorize the conversion ladder because you're not going to be given that on your test. So we need to make sure that we know how to remember it. And one easy way is to remember King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. And that helps you remember the order. At the beginning of each word in this sentence, it's the beginning of one of the prefixes. So King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. Now, I told you that I was going to show you the abbreviations. And this is how I write my ladder on my paper when I'm doing practice problems or whatever. And so go ahead and write these abbreviations underneath your ladder or underneath your prefixes. The K is for kilo, H is for hecto, BA is for deca, B is for base or basic unit, D is for deci, C is centi, M is milli. So if you have HG, that's hectograms. If you have DG, that's decigrams. If you have DAG, that's decagrams. Okay, really quick, let's just practice some of those prefixes and abbreviations. If I have kg, that's going to be kilograms. If I have KS, that's going to be kiloseconds. If I have CG, that's going to be centigrams. So the first letter is always the prefix, the last letter is always the unit. If we have MS, that's going to be millisecond. If we have ML, remember when I said earlier that liters is a capital L? ML is going to be milliliters. DAL would be decaliters. And you will see deca spelled D-E-C-A or D-E-K-A. They'll use it different ways. So now let's go ahead and do our practice problem number 1. And is 550 meters. Oh, I'm sorry, millimeters. And they want that in meters though. Okay? So this is your first practice problem. So the very first thing we need to do, look back at your notes, it's to find the starting point. So our starting point, we look at our initial set of units, and that's right here. This gives us our starting point. It means we're at milli. So this is where we start. Okay. Now, our ending point is at our second unit. Okay, our ending point is our second unit. There is only one letter in this unit, so it is not anywhere on the ladder but in the middle. Remember, if you have one letter, it's always in the middle. So our ending point is going to be at the base. Now, the next step we do is we count our jumps, and we say 1, 2, 3. So we have 3 jumps to the left. So we come down here to our 550, and remember, we're going to place our decimal. And if we have $550, where does the decimal go? It goes at the end. And then we need to take that decimal and move 3 jumps to the left. 1, 2, 3. This is our new decimal. This is our old one. We can cross it out. There are no empty jumps, so we don't add any zeros. And we can come up here to our answer and write in 0.550 meters. And that's our conversion. We started off with 550 millimeters, and we go to 0.550 meters. Now, let's go ahead and let's do number 2. Now this one we have not talked about yet, seconds. This is what I want you to remember. Don't get caught up in what the unit is. It does not matter what the unit is. They always follow the same rules. Okay? So your second practice problem is 3.5 seconds equals how many ms? And I don't want to say it because I don't want to give it away. So let's go to our starting point. Our starting point is going to be with this unit that we're given. It's one letter, so it has to be at the base. If it's one letter, it has to be at the base. And so this is where we start. Now, down here is our ending unit. It's MS. There are 2 or more letters. That means we have to be somewhere on the ladder, and our first letter in our unit is going to tell us where that is. So let's go over here to the ending. Now, you always count starting to ending, so we need to count our jumps now. So you say 1, 2, and 3. 3 jumps to the right. So we come down here to our 3.5. Our 3.5 already has the decimal place, so we don't have to place the decimal. It's already there for us. And we need to go 3 jumps to the right. So we're going to say 1, 2, and 3, put our new decimal, come over here, cross out our old one, and then fill in any empty spaces with zeros. So we can come up here to write our answer in on your notes, and we say 3,500 milliseconds. And that's how we do conversions. Now this is what I'd like you to do. I want you to pause your video, and then I want you to do number 3, 4, 5, and 6. And once you finish those, I'm going to have them, I want you to start the video again, and I'm going to have the answers for you posted. If you don't get them right, see if you can figure out why they're not right. And then tomorrow we'll go over any questions, and we'll also do some more practice all together. I hope you have a great evening after you look at the answers.